The last video I posted was all about our post-emergency fund plans. Well, at the time of that video, little did I know that we were about to finish baby step 3 faster than we anticipated. So this is the story of how we finished our emergency fund. Hey guys, if you're new here, my name is Allison with Baby Stepping to Freedom. On my channel, I share all about our financial journey through paying off debt and saving our emergency fund, as well as giving you tips and tricks to help you reach financial freedom. So a quick recap before I get started on the story. So baby step 3 is what I'll be saying often. That is a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. So that is based off of Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps, which I talk about a lot in my channel. If you haven't watched my What Are the Baby Steps video, definitely make sure that you watch that video, and this video will make a lot more sense as we get going. So basically, we started saving our emergency fund after finishing paying off our debt in January 2019. So we finished paying off our debt in November. We took a month or so off. We had some other issues come up. I'll link some of those videos here as well. But we officially started saving in January 2019. Our goal was to reach $30,000 in savings by August 2019. We knew that that was a pretty lofty goal, but based on how fast we paid off our $125,000 worth of debt, we figured it was pretty attainable. Now, $30,000 for us is actually more than 6 months of expenses, which Dave Ramsey recommends 3 to 6 months, but we chose to do even more than 6 months because of a variety of reasons. Check out my video on why we saved $30,000 because it's a little bit longer of a story than what I have here. So check out that video. But our plan was to save more than 6 months of expenses in our emergency fund, and we wanted to do that in 8 months. As we went along on our journey, we had lots of things come up. We had expenses that we weren't expecting. We had to use our emergency fund a couple times, and it ended up taking us longer than what we anticipated. So about July 2019, we finally came to terms with the fact that we would not be done in August. It just wasn't gonna happen. So we decided, okay, if we can't be done in August, what's a realistic time frame that we could be done by? And we decided October was realistic for us. We felt like we would have enough income and enough extra money coming in that setting the end date of like mid to late October would be reasonable for us. Well, just a couple months after we came to terms with that, at the beginning of September, we unexpectedly finished our emergency fund. Now, this actually happened when we finished paying off our debt too. It was like a quick, unexpected, we weren't planning on it being done when it was done, but that's just how it happened. So check out my video about the end of our debt-free journey. I don't want to go, there's so many little stories along the way that it's just easier to watch the videos that I've already done about that. But moral of the story, baby step 2 finished unexpectedly, and baby step 3 finished unexpectedly. So I feel like we're starting a trend here of the end of our baby step, whatever baby step we're on, finishing quickly. Our next baby steps 4 and 6 probably won't end unexpectedly, but who knows what will really happen. Moral of the story, we're starting a trend of ending our baby steps at moments that we just were not planning on it. But I'll give the backstory of how we got to this place. So Aaron has had, spoiler alert, had, past tense, a 1967 Ford Bronco that his grandpa gave him in high school. So the intent of this truck was to be a lifelong project. So it was gifted to him, and he has kept it for 15 years probably, with the intent of someday putting money into it and having it be this project car. If you're unfamiliar with old vintage Broncos, they are worth a fair amount of money. There's not very many of them out there. I don't really know other than that why they're that valuable, but people like them. If you're a Bronco person, then I guess you know. But Aaron always had plans of putting money into his Bronco and having it become, you know, this lifelong thing that he worked on. Knowing how valuable this vehicle was just sitting in our garage, we did have conversations multiple times about selling it. Was it the right time? Did it make sense to sell it? Did he want to sell it? Because really, the Bronco was not my thing. Like, I wasn't with him when he got it. I have no emotional attachment to it. I'm pretty neutral to the Bronco other than it taking up space in my garage. But if he wanted to keep it, that's fine. If he wanted to sell it, that's fine. I didn't have a strong opinion one way or another. But during our debt-free journey, Aaron decided not to sell the Bronco. It just didn't feel like the right time. Even though it would have helped us along the way, it was only a tiny portion of our debt. So if we would have sold it, it wouldn't have made that big of a dent in our debt for us. And we really didn't want to sell this to cover our past mistakes. It just didn't feel right. You know, we made these mistakes and we felt like we wanted to work to remedy these mistakes and not take this item, sell it, and then it's gone and the money's gone and all of that. So it just didn't feel right at the time, and so we chose not to sell the Bronco. So then it sat for years and years. It just stayed in the garage. It was kind of the crap collector because it was there and it's like this open truck bed, and so you can just kind of put stuff in there and then you have to clean it out. Anyways, that was kind of how we used the Bronco for its entire life with us. So about 6 months ago, Aaron started thinking, and I didn't even, I wasn't a part of this thought process at all, but Aaron started toying with the idea of selling the Bronco because it was sitting there and it wasn't being updated. He wasn't putting any money into it. And he started realizing that his priorities changed, and putting money into a vehicle that is not really a practical vehicle was not anywhere in his priority list. Like, if that's something that Aaron wanted to eventually do long term, I would be okay with it and, you know, we would work it in. But looking at our financial goals, the Bronco didn't fit in anywhere. And Aaron saw that and he realized he either needed to prioritize this at some point, you know, it could be 10 years down the road, let's start putting money into it, or as soon as we pay off our house, let's start putting money into it. But even looking at our next 10, 15 years that we have goals for, the Bronco was not in there at any point. And Aaron started realizing that his priorities changed, and financially it just wasn't something that he ever saw himself anytime in the next 15 years wanting to spend money on. So why is it sitting there? And that is all Aaron's thought process and things that he decided on his own. And then he came to me one day and he said, I've decided I want to sell the Bronco. And I was like, what? What? And so he made the decision to sell it. It was kind of a shock to me. I kind of knew he had been thinking about it, but not really like that intensely. And then it was like, well, how do we go about selling it? Like, do you just post it on Craigslist? Do you need to like get it fixed up and put money into it before you sell it? I don't know anything about this. And he wasn't really positive on how fast it would sell or how much he would get for it, anything like that. So he decided he was just gonna put some feelers out there and see if any of his contacts had any interest or knew people that had interest in how it was right there. Aaron decided that he didn't want to take any less than $12,000 for it, and if he couldn't get that, then it just wasn't worth selling to him. He wanted the sale to be worthwhile, and he knows generally how much they're worth, and he wanted to get what he felt it was worth out of it, and what he felt it was worth was $12,000. So he put feelers out there, started talking to some people. Quickly things started moving. One of his contacts knew someone who was interested in it. This person came over, looked at it, spent like an hour looking at it with his wife, and the next day they essentially offered Aaron what he wanted for it, and they came 2 days later and bought it. Just like that, it was gone. And we were like, what just happened? What's going on? But it was gone, just like that. So it wasn't something that we really prepared for, because we didn't know if it was going to take years to sell, if it was going to sell fast. We didn't know if he would get that much for it, but it just worked out. And it was an emotional decision. It was a hard decision. Like I said, I wasn't connected to the Bronco at all, but I felt sad seeing it go. I had no connection to it, but I think just knowing that it was Aaron's former dream, now not a dream or a priority anymore, was just kind of sad to like close that chapter. But we both knew that it was the right decision. It was not serving a purpose for us anymore, and we could take that money and do something more beneficial to our life. So the one thing that Aaron said when he decided to sell the Bronco is he didn't want to use the money for just anything. Like, he didn't want to use the money to pay off debt. He doesn't want to use the money to go on vacation or buy a new car or something like that. He wants to use the money for something bigger. And what he imagined as bigger is what we're now calling an opportunity fund. We don't exactly know what it's going to be yet, but essentially we're putting some of the money aside to fund some sort of opportunity in the future. What we see this as income generating opportunities. So it could be potentially starting a business. It could be potentially buying a rental home. It could be potentially, I don't know, beyond that. Something that would generate income for us. So it's taking that money and doing something else. I guess we could use it as an investment in other things. So any sort of investment, business opportunity, investment opportunity, whatever it is. But because of the place that we were in at the time of it selling, we decided, why don't we just take part of that money and put it towards our emergency fund? We were about $5,800 away from finishing our emergency fund, which was less than half of what we sold the Bronco for. So Aaron decided that he was okay taking some of that money and putting it in our emergency fund as long as we eventually got the opportunity fund to $10,000. That's what he just kind of wants $10,000 to sit there for future opportunities, opportunity fund, and eventually grow that over time. But using part of it on the emergency fund made sense at that time. So that's what we decided to do. We took part of it, put it in our emergency fund, the other part of it, put it in our new opportunity fund, and just like that, with little notice, not even realizing what was happening, we finished our emergency fund. So as of right now, we do still have some plans to finish up that opportunity fund, but we're not probably going to be as intense with saving towards that right now. It might just be like slow transfers over time until it gets to that $10,000. But we just wanted to finish out the emergency fund, say we're done with that, and then tackle this other $10,000 later. So now we start the plans that I talked about in my post baby step 3 video of what we're gonna do after our emergency fund is done. And that's, we're refinancing our house so we can pay it off faster, get a better interest rate, save money. We're gonna start contributing to our retirement, and we're gonna start living a little. We're probably gonna go on vacation sooner rather than later, fit in some little rewards here and there, but just continue working towards our overall financial goal of financial freedom. The hope is that we don't have any emergencies coming up anytime soon, but the reality is, now that we have this emergency fund, and really before this moment, any emergency that could come up doesn't really feel like an emergency anymore because we did something about it. We have this money sitting here, and we can take on a lot of things that could come up. Car accident, boom, we have our deductible covered. Emergency bill, boom, we have that covered. Cat emergency, we got that covered. So anything that could potentially come up, although, you know, they're emotional to deal with emergencies, the financial aspect of it is covered for us. So it makes the burden of an emergency feel so much less. So that's where we're at right now. We are just kind of moving along and figuring out what our next steps are and looking into how to continue to grow as a couple and grow financially and work towards building wealth and securing our future. So thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about our whirlwind end of the baby step 3 journey. I know a lot of people, when I posted about this on Instagram, felt kind of sad for Aaron that he sold the Bronco. I'm sad for Aaron too, but he made the decision on his own. He is at peace with this decision. He doesn't feel like he was forced into this decision or he did it to cover up past mistakes. So You can feel bad for Aaron, it's fine, but know that he's okay with it, I'm okay with it. It was a good decision. So let me know what you think while you're down there. Make sure you press the red subscribe button so you get notifications of all my upcoming videos. I appreciate you being here with me and watching this video. I will see you very soon.